Welcome to SCW, the wrestling podcast here on SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Subscribe right now. Leaving the comments in the comments section. Like and share the video as well. That's right, back for another edition of SCW, the wrestling podcast. So right now, in fact, we are about to be under siege. That's right, because my name is Steve and I'm joined by the one and only George Jones in the hot seat. George, how are you doing?
I'm really well. We're very near Survivor Series, so I'm quite excited. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time for the WWE calendar. I've always been a big fan of Survivor Series, the concept of the event. So, I'm kind of looking forward to it. It should be really exciting. So, I mean, it's an interesting card that so far has been put together and an interesting build. I think there's some pros and some cons, and I think that we should really pick in the bones of it, George. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's do this, Steve.
Let's do it then. Well, without further ado, then, of course, the main storyline started with the Under Siege, where SmackDown invaded Raw. I liked the twist of what they did, where it was the borrowing of AJ Styles gave him that foot in the door, then the fact that Shane McMahon kind of used Kurt Angle and the trustworthiness. I loved the explanation this week on SmackDown Live as well, how they've always been seen as the B show, SmackDown, and they want to take that away from Raw. I do think that there's some good grounds to build on for this rivalry between Raw and SmackDown. But of course, there are some flaw sides to it as well. So to first off, to say with the actual Under Siege, the way it started, where SmackDown invaded Raw, come through the crowd, almost made Kurt Angle look like a pensioner, the way he was running back to the locker room. And then we see, obviously, the beating on the entire Raw locker room. I thought there were some great touches. I loved the way that it was done. I loved that Chad Gable went straight in for Jason Jordan. I loved the way that the New Day was kind of leading the charge. A lot of guys that were good guys came across as heels, and I think shows potential for a lot of people with their characters. There was a lot more realism in it. I thought it had some nice touches. I loved the Shield as well, the way that Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins tried to intervene and stop SmackDown, but didn't get the upper hand. Still, of course, the numbers was too much to overcome. But George, what was your feeling with that initial Under Siege?
I was really, really excited. I thought it was really, really positive. I think that's the most exciting bit of WWE TV in a long time. It genuinely felt like that Raw was really in trouble, and you really felt that SmackDown had the monopoly, so to speak. And you look at who they attacked, it wasn't just jobbers and mid-carders. It was actually established stars that are on the roster, such as the Shield and stuff like that. I thought it was really interesting. The only thing that had the problem with it, slightly, was that you've got people that have been feuding like next door to each other, like best friends. I think that sort of, it's really hard sometimes to turn off and just admire them for attacking Raw just as a brand. What do you think of sort of people being alongside each other that hate each other, so to speak?
Well, I mean, of course, it was very highlighted with Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler in particular, wasn't it? That was one of the main ones because they did the same attack at the same point. I forget who they were attacking at the time. There was actually some tweets sent to the superstars. I remember Dolph Ziggler saying that they were literally going for SmackDown. It was his chance to show himself off and to stop. Almost play up to his gimmick, almost like he's saying he's got problems with these people that are thinking they're superstars but not superstars, and him putting them in their place. He was just doing it for the brand of SmackDown, but not even really doing it for them, doing it for himself was the way he came across, and that he wasn't friends with Bobby Roode still. And we see now they've gone back to face each other this week on SmackDown Live for a Survivor Series spot. So it is kind of interesting in one way because, like you say, it's hard to suspend your disbelief. I think it's very difficult these days because, like you say, you're trying to put this show together, SmackDown versus Raw. In the meantime, there are going to be feuds. I mean, you can't exactly do a show where there is invasions every single week. At the same time, you can't have where it's just SmackDown only all the time. I mean, I like the nice touch with Raw this week. Daniel Bryan being brought into Raw, and they played with that for SmackDown the week previous. He went to Raw to almost try and make a peace offering, if you will, and then gets attacked by Kane, which, to be honest with you, probably wasn't the best way that the attack was held through, but you can see why they've done it. They don't want to see Daniel Bryan actually take a bump in WWE. How have you seen things? Has the continuity been good otherwise, apart from that moment?
I think, to be fair, I was a bit disappointed. Obviously, you had such a massive sort of climactic ending on Raw. When you watch the following SmackDown, there wasn't really anything. Like, you expect SmackDown then to be sort of under siege by Raw. You expect Raw obviously to get some sort of momentum. It's almost like SmackDown are basing one up on this feud so far. I think it all comes down to the problem they've got with current illness in the WWE roster. People such as Roman Reigns aren't available to be able to progress the feud. I think that's a massive loss in this feud, so to speak. But when it's all said and done, I'm sure Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman will all be sort of impactful when they do finally get the revenge on SmackDown, so to speak. What have you made of the follow-up on SmackDown?
Well, I thought with the first week, I mean, I kind of liked. There were a couple of minor points, very small minor points, but I liked that the revenge wasn't there and then, because you have to sell it. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we get so used to instant things happening these days. You've only got to look at Asuka being brought to the main roster. One match and people are judging her, saying she's not right for the main roster. And you're saying, it's one match. You know, give this some time. Let it play out. See what goes on. So in one way, it's nice that they sold the beating. And like you say, Raw was missing so many stars anyway. It was the perfect time for them to be put under siege because so many people like Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt were missing. This week, so many superstars have returned, like Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe being another one. Stephanie McMahon, even, of course, she's not going to be in action, but returning to Raw. JoJo, Bo Dallas. There was many, many returns. And it just kind of felt that the Raw roster now actually can compete with SmackDown. And you feel that maybe in the next week or so, that we probably will see SmackDown become under siege. How do you feel about that?
I quite like to see it. I'm not too sure if I can see it, though. I think the thing with it is Raw have always been second fiddle in the feud so far, and I think that means that it's very limited to sort of how they can get the revenge. And if you look at the people that are probably going to be in this match, Raw by far has got the bigger stars. Raw will likely have Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman, where SmackDown are probably only going to have sort of AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Nakamura and Bobby Roode if you take out both the team captains. It's I think Raw have got the advantage. I think when it comes down to it, when all them people are there, I just can't see SmackDown really coming out with much credit. What do you reckon?
I kind of agree. I mean, I'm kind of liking the shape of the SmackDown team, although it just kind of makes me feel that, like I said, there's a couple of minor points I haven't liked about this since. And the minor points that I don't like, when we'll go to that show for a minute, you said about the expect of revenge. They mentioned it on TV, but you didn't see any security, anything like that. It didn't seem like it was as well played out as it could have been. Looking, though, I mean, at the rosters themselves, I think Raw has got the better of it, yes. But, I mean, SmackDown has to seem like a player going into this because otherwise they're not going to seem creditable, like you say, going into the event. I do think Raw is going to come out with this at the end, perhaps with a victory, because, like you say, they probably have got the bigger and better stars. I'm just not convinced that Roman Reigns will be back in time because, I mean, originally he was supposed to be the captain of the Raw team, if I'm not mistaken. That honour was given to Kurt Angle this week.
We'll see. I think Roman Reigns will be back. I think they're just sort of maybe potentially delaying his return, obviously, for the big triumphant return. But no, this is definitely going to be a match we were going to see. I thought for a short while, before this past week's action with Daniel Bryan, I thought they were hinting at a Daniel Bryan side-in with Raw. I think that was the way they were going. Clearly, there was dissension between Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. Did you think that was sort of hinted for a short while?
Well, Dave Meltzer said that there could be a start of a Daniel Bryan heel turn, which for me, it kind of come across the complete opposite way around. But of course, if you look at WWE terms and a show turn, once that show is finished, SmackDown will be seen as the SmackDown stars that stood up for the show will be the faces again. So there is a chance that maybe after the pay-per-view, it could switch to a heel turn because if Daniel Bryan is going to leave, you don't really want him to be the big deal that he is now, the popular figure, the yes movement. I can understand why WWE kind of want to do it. They want to limit his stock if he is going to go back out there into the world of professional wrestling and get back into the ring once again. Will it work? Of course it won't. The fans will be all over Daniel Bryan when he goes back into the Indies. If he goes into ROH, New Japan, I mean, it will be absolutely massive. And I think that it will give a bit of leverage to whichever minor company he decides to go with. The one thing I have a big problem with, and as going into these minor points, is there's so many big superstars that, if you want to say big superstars, but certainly people that are worthy of being on the show that will not be on Survivor Series. I mean, look, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, two promitable guys, and they were almost the headline of the last SmackDown pay-per-view. With Kevin Owens picking up the victory in the Hell in a Cell, Sami Zayn's heel turn. They figured like they were going to be a big deal going into Survivor Series, and now it looks like they're not going to be on the card at all. Is that a big disappointment?
Yeah, that's a massive disappointment. When you're looking at in their place, you're only really going to put a Randy Orton or a Bobby Roode. I think Bobby Roode and Randy Orton have both been very disappointing, I'd say, so far this year in WWE, in my opinion. I think they've both been very underwhelming. Clearly, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn following his heel turn. I think he's interesting again. I think he's exciting. I think it's a massive loss not having Kevin Owens in that position. But I think this all goes down towards the Shane McMahon SmackDown team is largely made up of faces, if you look at that, baby faces, whereas you've got sort of Howard and Kevin Owens and sort of Sami Zayn fit in with that. Obviously, Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens have had this feud before. It's all down to it. I just think this is going to be a really, really interesting match to see what happens. I just would love it to see if there's some consequences for the loser. I'd love it if there's some sort of forfeit for the loser, if that makes sense. I've got this feeling in the back of my mind. They are sort of hinting at a Shane McMahon Kurt Angle match potentially at WrestleMania. But although the rumours are going around that Triple H and Kurt Angle are going to be having a match, what do you think of that? Do you think there should be some sort of consequences for the loser in this match?
I would say that yes. I mean, there has been hints with the Raw side that Kurt Angle will probably lose his position as general manager, which some would say, well, that would make it obvious Raw would win. But would it necessarily? Because Kurt Angle could be an inactive wrestler once again. He wouldn't have beat a GM anymore. It would be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, I don't mind watching Shane McMahon matches. They are entertaining, but there does come to a point where it doesn't really do it for me. We saw that match, King of the Ring, was it 2001?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong there, George. And that was a stellar match. I mean, that's what by the time it would come around to WrestleMania, it'd be nearly 17 years previous. So, I mean, for me, Triple H is a safe worker. I want to see Kurt go in there with safe workers. Shane McMahon, he's more of a risk taker and wants to do something to make the match more exciting. I would rather see Kurt go in there with like Triple H, or even perhaps someone in the current roster who he's faced before. Maybe it could be a safe option to go with. Maybe Samoa Joe could be a good option to go with. Of course, there are the dream matches that you'd love to see Kurt Angle take part in that he has not been with previously, like maybe a Seth Rollins, a Dean Ambrose. Certainly with the SmackDown side of things, you could look at other stars maybe over there, like Nakamura could be exciting down the line. But I don't know, it'll be very interesting to see how it's going to play out. With regards of a consequence, I'm not quite sure what you could throw in. I mean, apart from the GM losing his position or the commissioner for Shane McMahon in his situation, I don't see what else they could do. What would you suggest?
I think you could sort of do something like so-and-so would lose their place on the roster or would have to switch to the other brand and stuff like that, or so-and-so has to sort of serve the other brand, or you've got sort of a forfeit. You can do some sort of forfeit system. They need to do something, though, because clearly after Survivor Series is done, I think they still need to keep this rivalry going. I think this is great. They're trying to build something different, some real tension. It's a shame, really, this tension only comes once a year. It should come the whole way through the year, I think. I think SmackDown and Raw really should be opposites. I think there should be massive tension there, which it's a shame it's taken just this show to try and get to that tension, if that makes sense.
Do you think that this could actually correct the brand split? Because, I mean, of course, this was supposed to be the point the whole way through. It's been kind of friendly up until now. Do you feel that from here, I mean, of course, it's not too long to the back, really. It's supposed to be once a year, but it's not. We've got the Royal Rumble coming, 15 Raw, 15 SmackDown. Is there a chance that you could recapture that moment and put it into the Royal Rumble match?
I'd like that, potentially. I'd like to see that. The problem with it, I think, is the Royal Rumble is such a sort of spot show for sort of building up potential storylines for WrestleMania. I think everything else goes out the window, regardless of who wins it. The only thing really that's coming out of the Rumble, ideally, is a few hints to WrestleMania, and whoever wins it will ultimately be in the main event of WrestleMania usually. No, I think it could be interesting. I think what they need to do, I think the main thing that's missing is you've got two faces that are head-to-head in this. Both of them are captains, and both of them are baby faces, which I think really makes it a strange reaction. It's almost like a Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. You don't really know which side you want to win because of both of them are baby faces. Would you reckon we're going to get some sort of heel turn here? Somebody turn on somebody to ultimately cost them the brand and then the consequences because of that? Do you reckon potentially?
It's going to be interesting because you say the consequences, or what will make this match interesting is, will the brands actually be able to stay together?
Yeah.
You look at maybe there's a lot of faces in this match on the Raw and SmackDown side. I mean, Braun Strowman technically has had a face turn if you look at the way the storytelling is, and he's been cheered for months and months on end anyway. It's only really Samoa Joe that's a heel in this whole scenario. So, I mean, we've got the Kane and Strowman feud that's probably going to come out of this, which I can imagine you're massively excited not for. You know, as well, will Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn cost Team SmackDown the event because they want it to be the Kevin Owens show or the Sami and Kevin show going forward? Is that going to remain a thing rather, you know, as their takeover of SmackDown Live going in towards WrestleMania? There's many things that could happen. It's just seeing how it will play out. But at the moment, I predict it would perhaps be a Raw victory. Looking at the end of this, what do you feel right now?
It's very hard to say. I think I'm going to go with a Raw victory. There's far too much weight on people in the Raw match. People such as Braun Strowman, also people like Finn Balor. Finn Balor's next rumoured and penciled in for a feud with Brock Lesnar, so he's obviously going to have to come up with some credibility in this, despite his recent loss to Kane. I think Raw has to win it. I don't think there's enough on SmackDown really to sort of generally move forward, if that makes sense. The only thing you could see on SmackDown that might give them some sort of light or some sort of a weight above would be AJ Styles. Clearly, AJ Styles is next penciled in for a feud with Jinder Mahal for the title. So clearly, I think AJ Styles could be one of the last survivors. But no, this should be a good match. I'm excited to see what happens. I just wish it was maybe something different. Maybe it was a bit like a War Games or something like that. But clearly, you've got that on the NXT show, so I can understand why they're not going to do it sort of on a main pay-per-view, so to speak.
No, of course. And to be fair, the main roster's got to cut out once again because that, being on NXT, the chances are that is going to be done pretty well. You can't see really that being done wrong. There's going to be the 2 rings. It's 3 teams of 3. I don't know. I just can see that being a match of the year worthy moment. But it will be very exciting. But looking at the rest of the card as the Survivor Series, it's looking a little bit, I don't know. It should appeal because it's champions versus champions everywhere, but it really doesn't do it for me. Brock versus Jinder, what's your feelings for this?
Not really excited. Let's be honest, Jinder's title reign has been a fluke. He's obviously kept the belt using the Sim brothers largely, and that's mainly meant that the only way why he's won a belt, there's no way that I could see him coming out of any credibility. What benefit does this have? People are going to be cheering Brock Lesnar, and nobody wants Jinder Mahal to win. This is just a filler match. Would you agree?
Yes, I do think it's a filler match. I think Brock is going to win quite comfortably. The only other way that this will come away with some credibility, there has been rumours that John Cena is going to be the special referee, being that he's a free agent. So that this could maybe start to build towards WrestleMania for the 2 of them. That's what I've heard as a rumour. Whether that will be true or not, time will tell. But I just kind of feel that these guys, even with them losing, doesn't do good for them or the championship. They want Jinder to become better. He's not going to get that by being squashed by Brock Lesnar. Brock's supposed to be unstoppable and being fed to Roman Reigns. He's not going to look unstoppable if he's losing to Jinder. It's just not going to happen. So, I mean, for me personally, I think that this should have been a 5-on-5 Survivor Series style match. Perhaps this could have been the way we've clearly seen maybe tensions between AJ Styles and Jinder in this, and maybe whoever will be facing Brock next. I think that would have been perhaps a bit better, and we would have seen maybe how can I say it? Maybe a safer finish for these guys without losing some credibility. What would you feel with that?
I definitely think that this is just a filler on the card. I think they're just putting 2 champions together to just make the show fill the card, so to speak. But no, we'll definitely have to cover this in our next podcast. Obviously, this has been a taster tonight of the SCW podcast coming back, so to speak. And I think sort of we're going to have to do a more thorough review of Survivor Series when our time allows.
Yeah, definitely indeed. Well, the rest of the matches on the card very quickly. Baron Corbin, The Miz, Alexa Bliss, Natalya, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose versus the Usos. Does any of those matches do it for you? The tag match I'm looking forward to, but the rest of them, they don't scream for me at all. Of course, you have got the Women's Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown. We've got the 5 women set for SmackDown. Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Naomi, Carmella, Tamina. The Raw side, we're still looking to see more other than Alicia Fox and Nia Jax. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Do you think Asuka could be on the Raw side?
Potentially. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I think they've got to put her in somewhere. The problem is she can't lose, so if they put her in this, she's going to have to be on the team that wins and come out with a win, so to speak.
I'm hoping she's not in it because I think that it would be better for her not. I believe that this, for me, is meant for SmackDown to win with the women on the Survivor Series style match, Raw to win on the men's, and then they probably look to maybe have the Raw Women's Champion win, Alexa over Natalya at the moment. I'm intrigued. I mean, do you think any belts will change hands between now and Survivor Series?
No, I don't think so.
You think it's going to stay? The card will be as it is?
I think it'll be the way it is. I don't see anything else being added, unless they're going to put Kane somewhere in there to squash somebody or something like that. I don't see it really. I think it's not a bad card. It's okay, but I think you've only really got the main event match and the tag team match, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. The rest of it, I think, is quite filler.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking forward to the Miz versus Baron Corbin. That doesn't do anything for me. No. Alexa versus Natalya, it will be okay. I don't see much of it. I agree the tag team match will be probably very good. The Usos are amazing with anyone they face at the moment. So that should be a pretty interesting tag team match when it takes place. One further question, because if I'm not mistaken, then that makes 6 matches, so we can't get a clear winner Raw versus SmackDown. Should there be a battle royal for the rest of the guys to determine a clear victor between Raw and SmackDown? That way you can put every other superstar in a match on that night. That's not in one now.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's just if they do something or do another sort of Survivor Series match just to sort of fill out and put people on the card. But no, you never really know, I think, Steve, with what they're going to do. They change the card so quickly at any moment, as they did with TLC. As you said, it was changed previously on the weekend. Anything can happen in WWE. You never know.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the viral infections is still taking its part, so we'll have to wait and see how that may affect the card. But we'll wrap that up there now. Yeah, of course, like I said, it's just a taster. We are coming back. We're just giving you a little bit of a hype towards Survivor Series there for you very quickly on this edition of SCW, the Wrestling Podcast. George, is there any plugs that you'd like to give?
Yeah, just a quick plug for LEP Wrestling. So LEP's next show will be the 16th of December at the Wimble Centre Torquay. Will be another fantastic show, following on from the Super Show previously. A full review of that show we are hoping to bring you soon. You can get tickets on www.skiddle.com. Please check it out. That's about it really for me, Steve, tonight.
Indeed. Well, I mean, do check out as well the interview with Gaz Norks as well that George did conduct before he became the heavyweight champion. Definitely worth checking that one out. I mean, lovely to get a reaction interview with him at some point, maybe down the line as well as champion. I would just like to quickly promote as well that the TNA Bound for Glory, I'll say TNA Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory, I will give a predictions video and throw that on YouTube, so do check that out. I'm sure there is a few Impact fans out there, so yeah, do check that out. And, we'll be back for a podcast very soon. Like I always say, like, share, subscribe. This is SCW, the Wrestling Podcast on SCW, the Wrestling Channel. George, thanks for keeping us company and being a part of this. And yeah, we will see you next time.